Gotta love Yahweh. Boy, Shema Mashak Yahweh. Shema Yasharala Yahweh Yah Allah Hayanawa Kadaba Mashbaka. Shalom, may peace, serenity, and prosperity be multiplied unto you all. So this will be part 4 of Not by Meats or by Drink. Now from part 1 to part 3, we broke down verses 16 and verses 17 thoroughly. We're going to continue on with a breakdown of verse 18, right? So you caught part 1, part 2, and part 3. You already know what we're talking about here. We're giving the proper breakdown of these verses in Akshal's epistles, right? Now, I'm not going to take too long doing this video, so, I'm not going to do a review. However, if you've seen the videos, you can always go back and we rewatch them for your edification. Now, we're on verse 18 here in part 4, where Akshal writes, "Let no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding into those things which he hath not seen, vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind." So here Akshal is talking about the person who is not spiritual, the natural man. He's speaking of those individuals who are not blessed with faith. They don't have the gift of faith, right? Yahweh hasn't really called them to understand his business like we understand his business. So therefore, Akshal is reminding us here in verse 18 not to let that carnal individual talk us out of this gift, of this blessing, of our reward, which is given through a voluntary humility. See, when we're in this truth, we do have a voluntary humility, right? We do have an air of humbleness that we must uphold, knowing this superior knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It is required for us to have humility in this truth, right? And Akshal also mentions here in verse 18 the worshiping of angels. Now, we're not going to get that misunderstood, because we know through the eloquence of Akshal, sometimes it takes some time to really digest what Akshal is talking about here, okay? So Akshal is not mentioning us actually worshiping angels as we will worship the Father. No, this is observance and the recognition of their existence pertaining to our faith, right? That's what he's talking about here in worshiping. That's where the context of worshiping comes from. It's observance as related to the humility and the knowledge and wisdom and understanding that is rehearsed in this truth. That's what he means by worshiping, okay? So you're not actually worshiping angels. You're not praying to angels, right? You're not giving praise to angels like you would the Father. That's not what he's meaning here when he says worshiping of angels. Continuing forward, he says intruding into those things which he has not seen, So that person who attempts to beguile one out of the truth is intruding on these matters, the matters pertaining to the gift of faith. And Akshay also says that this type of individual is vainly puffed up by his fleshly mind. So he has an arrogance in his carnal understanding, right? He has a falsified confidence created by his carnal understanding, not understanding the things of the kingdom, but that of his own carnal being, of what his five senses can pick up. Furthermore, we're going to go into some supportive precepts here pertaining to that scripture. Let's take it back to Torah, Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 9. Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, and lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. So this goes back to what Akshay was talking about here, in letting no man beguile you of your reward in a voluntary humility, right? And worshiping of angels. That goes right back to Deuteronomy 4 and 9. Taking heed to yourself and keeping your soul diligently to this truth. Right? That voluntary humility. That observance of angels that Akshay is talking about. The things that you can see through faith. The knowledge that you have through your faith. The understanding and the wisdom that you obtain and that you possess by the gift of faith. Moving forward here, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 14 through 16. Salat. Neglect not the gift that is in thee, which was given thee by prophecy, with the laying of the hands of the presbytery. Verse 15. Meditate upon these things. Give thyself wholly to them, that they profiting may appear to all. So this is a further breakdown that we're getting, from Akshay, his very self. His very self is giving us further breakdown here as to what he meant and what we just read here in verse 20. Was that verse 20? Verse 18, Salat. And then he says here in verse 16, take heed unto thyself and unto the doctrine. Continue in them, for in doing this thou shalt both save thyself and them that hear thee. All right. So again, we must keep ourselves diligent in the scriptures, in the doctrine of Mashiach, in this truth, to obtain and to retain knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the kingdom. All right. This is in relation to that voluntary humility that Akshay spoke of here in verse 18. This also correlates with the worshiping of angels that Akshay spoke of here in verse 18. The observance, the knowledge of such angels pertaining to our faith and the benefit we have of them. All right. And then we revisit another scripture here, Revelation chapter 3, verse 11. Mashiach speaking. He says, behold, I come quickly. Hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. So therefore, it is reaffirmed through Yahweh Shai that we don't allow these carnally minded individuals to make us waver from the faith. Can no carnal minded individual who's all about this world, who are all about their five senses and to what pertains to this world, this earth, they shouldn't be able to tell us a damn thing to make us waver from this truth. Okay? Because this knowledge that we have is superior. It's superior above all knowledge if you're blessed to receive it. And being blessed to receive this truth is a big deal. It's a big deal because, one, you've been chosen to understand this. Therefore, we don't let no man take our crown. We don't let no carnal-minded fool beguile us of the benefits of having this faith. Call Allah Yahweh. I'll leave it as that. Part 4, this concludes part 4. Stay tuned for part 5. May peace, serenity, and prosperity be multiplied unto you all. Shalom.